I would say definitely go for Axi Select. The rules are simple, and the way that it's designed is to help you. It's not to go against you.
Hello, Sophia. You are the first female trader to hit the Pro-M level, which means that you secured $1 million in funding with Axi Select. Congratulations. So I want to talk to you today about your journey as well as how you achieved this level of success.
Hi, Katie. Yes, so I've been trading for close to 15 years now. I've mostly been trading gold. In my journey, I have traded some Forex pairs, but I find that I do not have the proper right focus. So in order for me to be profitable, it'd be better that I study one pair, solely one pair, to understand the different characteristics, the behavior, and my mind's not all over the place. In addition to that, I find that trading just one particular pair gives me time to have breaks. So what I mean by that is that sometimes when, let's say, gold is moving slowly, I can have a break rather than, if I'm going to trade, if let's say gold is slow, I go to another pair and another pair. I don't have any breaks at all, and it's not so healthy for my mental health. I actually spend a lot of time studying it, and I see that the volatile is just nice for me. It's not too slow, not too fast.
When you trade gold, would you say that you are generally a trend trader or you look for tops or bottoms?
I look at the trend, the overall trend. Where is it going?
Are there certain technical indicators that you like?
I don't particularly use indicators, but I actually have a set of calculation to calculate momentum. So I'm basically using more of price action.
That's very interesting. So you basically trade price almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Do you trade price breakouts or price retraces?
A bit of both. Yeah.
Okay. That's a very interesting philosophy, because a lot of people, they focus on technical indicators and they don't see the purity of price, which I think, you came to realize. Do you use volume at all?
No, I don't.
What do you like about trading price when it comes to gold?
The way I trade is that when I look at price, I have a series of calculation to show me whether the price would continue its momentum or not. So that would tell me, should I stay in the trade? Should I get out? Yeah, so that would be more on entry and exit. But before I do that, I actually go to D1. I have an overall big picture to see where the overall direction is going. So once I've determined the overall direction, where I actually go and execute my entry and exits would be on H1. So that's when the price is moving, and yeah.
So to recap what you said, you basically look at higher time frame, the daily chart for the overall trend, and then you would drop down to the 1 hour chart to determine your entries and exits based upon how price is moving.
That's right.
Do you look at shorter time frames than 1 hour, or is 1 hour?
It's tempting, yeah. But I would say that for me, I'm trading in the longer term, and I think the bigger picture will give me more information. So for now, for me to get to where I am today, no, I don't drop down to the lower time frame than H1.
That's actually a very, very interesting point, because many traders, they like to look at multiple time frames, higher or lower, because they don't have the confidence. They feel like they need to check multiple time frames to convince themselves of whatever they're trying to do. But as what you're telling me is that, at your stage in your trading where you're so successful, you feel with your strategy, you only need the daily and the 1 hour. And that, is sufficient for you. And that comes with just having done it for so long. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
What I also find really remarkable is that I've spoken to a lot of successful traders, and quite a few that have gotten funded by Axi, also quite a few that are successful on their own right. And Sophia, one of the things that I find very interesting that you said very early on is that you trade one instrument and you trade one instrument alone. And the reason why you trade that one instrument is because you rather master one instrument than be confused with too many. And I personally have found in so many successful traders that I've spoken to, including, my own trading, that being focused on one instrument and just knowing it well is really one of the commonalities and the common traits of all the successful traders I know. I mean, would you agree?
Yes, it's very true.
But I think it's very valuable that you say that it's, partially having a trading system that you've back tested and you trust the results, which is why you're able to execute when you have the trade without the emotions involved in it. Because oftentimes, most traders, 80% of traders will say they lose money because of the emotional aspect of trading rather than having a bad trading strategy. Perhaps it's not the greatest trading strategy, but oftentimes it's their, letting losses run, cutting winners short that really kills them. So when it comes to your trading, when trading gold specifically, because many of our viewers trade gold, would you say that you're a day trader or a swing trader?
I'm a hybrid of both. Yeah. So I started off doing day trading and intraday trading. So that is good for Axi's program because they have a requirement of minimum number of trades. But as the time goes, when I start to make a loss, the loss is relatively bigger. So in order for me to recover from the loss, so I would need to take a bigger number of pips. So in order to do that, that makes me into a swing trader. So I would say I'm a hybrid of both.
So talking about Axi Select, did you start with trading Axi or did you start trading with another broker, another prop firm? How did you decide that Axi Select was a company that you wanted to trade with?
So Axi Select is very different from the other companies. It's because that Axi Select has a broker that's backing them up, so that gives me a sense of security. And when I look into the rules of Axi Select, it was easy to follow. Such as they do not have a maximum time. In fact, they have a minimum time. So when you have a minimum time to be at each stage, that actually sharpens you as a trader, to see whether you really can perform or not. And on top of that, they do not have a daily drawdown, whereas some other brokers have daily drawdown, which turns me off. Yeah. And one more point is that there are some prop firms which does not allow you to trade over the weekends or doesn't allow you to trade when there's any news. So for me as a technical analyst, I do not look at news, and I don't know when there is news. If I have to follow the rules of those prop firms, it would be such a headache for me to check, and there's a news almost every other day, see?
So to recap, it sounds like the reason why you liked Axi Select was that it was powered by a broker. It didn't have, the same drawdown restrictions. There wasn't any harsh news restrictions. And you actually like the fact that they had minimum trading days because that helped you hone your trading skills before you reach each stage of their program. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so I think you told me earlier that you did not reach the Pro M stage on your first try. It took a few times, right? Can you share a little bit about that?
So during my first attempt, I got overconfident. I didn't put a stop loss, and that was a very bad mistake because when there's any volatility, then it reversed and I'm out. So I was on a quarantine, and then I tried again for the second attempt. And in this second attempt, I made a series of losses. They were system losses, so it was part of the way there's loss. But when it's time for me to make back, to take next trades to go into profit, I increased my lot size, and that was a terrible mistake. So what I thought was a shortcut was a much longer way, and that put me back into quarantine. So what I learned from here is that risk management is a very important lesson. Yeah. And from there, I go on to the my third attempt. And this time I said, okay, no more. I will need to follow the rules strictly. And yeah, after some time, I'm finally at this Pro M level.
Now, this quarantine level is very interesting because not many people are aware of the quarantines in Axi Select. It's very different from a traditional prop firm breach because with the traditional prop firm breach, you breach their rules, you've lost the challenge fee that you paid, and you have to start all over again. But with the quarantine, that's very different, right? How do you think that has helped you in terms of becoming a better trader? Because with the quarantine, since your Axi Select is completely free, you only lose the amount in your account, and you didn't lose any challenge fee. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. So I actually like the idea of how the way that Axi Select does this, because when I go into quarantine, it gives me a chance to, really reflect and sharpen my trading. Whereas if I were to be in the other platforms that, you have to pay again and again. So when you pay a sum of money, even though it's not like just a few $100, but it'll make you feel that, hey, now I just paid, I want to make my money back fast. And when you have that kind of mentality, that would actually slow you down, because you might not follow the rules. And some people, they don't get it just in 2 tries, they get it in 10 tries. So if it's just $300, 10 times will be $3,000, and that would get them into gambling mode.
And that's a very good point. It sounds like, with the challenge fees, you look at it like it's more of a slot trading mentality. And I don't think everyone is able to see it like that, because they're so attracted by just the low cost of entry. But when you keep doing it, it does feel like a slot machine in many ways. Whereas with Axi Select, it's a very different environment where you try, it doesn't work out, you put in quarantine, your account isn't closed or anything. It's more of a a period for a breathing room, and then you get to try again. And hopefully in that period, you've like you said, reflected on your trading mistakes, and hopefully corrected some of those trading mistakes. And 2 weeks, I think, is a nice cool down period for anyone who has taken a small loss or a big loss to really move away from the markets before coming back again. So I also really like that about the Axi Select program, and how they have quarantine instead of breaches. Now, in terms of reaching pro M trading, what kind of skills do you think helped you move to the Pro M phase and secure $1 million in funding?
First of all, you need to know what you're doing. So you need to have a system that can give you the result. In order to do that, after you learn the skill, you got to back test and back test and back test. So what I did is that during weekend, markets is closed. So that's the time that I would sit down, reflect, open up my trades, see where I've made my entries and exits, and how can I do it better. So this is the fastest way for you to correct your mistakes. Yeah. So that means you need to do your backtest. You need to be patient. You need to be disciplined. When I say discipline, it's a lot of aspects. So from having a proper setup, and when it's time to cutting loss is the most painful thing. So whenever you need to cut your loss, you need to just do it, and just follow the system. And on top of that, I would say that having that's the skill side. But in terms of the support system, so I have 2 young kids. I would say that I thankfully have a very supportive husband, and then my parents as well. So it allows me to give me time to focus on my trading. Yeah.
In terms of Axi Select, one of the unique things is that they have an edge score, which, to some people in the beginning may feel a little intimidating, because it's not just about the amount that you make, it's about maintaining and increasing your edge score. Going into your Axi Select experience, did you find that intimidating? Did you find it confusing? And then how do you feel about it now? How do you feel that it may have benefited your trading?
Yes, initially I thought, what is this and how do I even calculate? I looked through the website, I tried to study. They did explain what was the edge score and how, but they did not explain in very detail how do you calculate. So if I have a drawdown of this, it's different in when I'm in the pro stage and versus the acceleration stage. It's different, when I make the same minus 5%, negative 5%, it is different edge score. So honestly, I don't know how that's calculated. So it's, yes, to answer your question, it is intimidating, it's confusing. But when I look at it back, looking back then, probably I wasn't a consistent trader yet. So that edge score would actually help me to really pre-qualify me. I mean, I can't imagine if my skill set at that time, I was given $1 million to manage, I think that would be a disaster. So, the fact that Axi Select has created a program that you go through stage by stage and you have your edge score, that actually make the trader a more ready person to deliver the results.
I think that is something a lot of the successful traders eventually realize that is hard for the new trader coming in to realize, which is that the edge score is designed to help you, to of course help Axi Select, qualified traders, but also help you as trader. And I think what you just said, which is, if they gave you $1 million on day one, you probably wouldn't have done a great job. But having achieved that edge score in order to reach the different stages, not only does that a representation of you trading well, but it also builds your own confidence, right? And it makes you realize that you can do this because you're able to maintain a score that is consistent with what they believe is success.
Yep, absolutely.
So what advice would you have for traders who want to learn to be a consistent trader like you?
Firstly, they need to know that they have a system that works. So if they have a system that works, what they really need to do is to really backtest it, to give themselves that the belief. And they say that 90% of traders lose money, right? And yeah, that's true. But the question is, if you really have the system that works, do you want to believe the other people, or you look at your results? If you have already tested your results, your backtest tells you this is how much you can get. It really gives you a return. So you have to believe in yourself. Don't trust in others. Even your teacher, because if your teacher tells you, okay, I don't think you can do it, you're not good enough, you don't have this, you don't have that. But if you test it for yourself and you find that it really gives you that profit, so keep going. So that is just on the scale. Never give up, because I would say that even it takes a long time. For me, myself, 15 years is a long time. Not many people would stay in 15 years trying something. They would think that, why are you wasting your time? You should go do something. Maybe you're not made for trading, So, but for me, I see the results. When I tested the system, when I tested my setup, I find that I do see it. So why do I have to believe these people, right? So that's the first step. And the second step is to have the discipline to continue doing. I really like the way that the Axi Select program is curated, because it starts from the seed, and then the quarantine program, if you make a mistake, the quarantine program is there to let you really reflect. So during that period, instead of, I just want to take 2 weeks off and go for holiday, not training. No, that's not the right mentality. That's the time that you should sit down, reflect, learn from your mistakes, and don't repeat it again.
Do you have any advice for traders who are considering prop trading and they're looking at the new prop firms, they're looking at Axi Select's model and trying to decide which one is right for them?
I would say definitely go for Axi Select. The rules are simple, and the way that it's designed is to help you. It's not to go against you.
So what's next for you now that you've achieved $1 million in funding?
I would like to make this my full-time income, full-time job. Yeah. So what I would need to, in order for me to do that, I would need to have my continuous support from my family to also take care of my kids, that things at home. At the same time, I'm also building up an emergency fund so that that would cover any expenses, or in case I need to take a break from trading, that's covered.
I want to congratulate again Sophia for reaching your Pro-M status and achieving $1 million in funding with Axi Select. If you're interested in trading prop with a broker-powered platform like Axi Select and being able to trade with a partner that has a vested interest in your success, check out the description below for details on how to get started.